back. Why don't we get started on our next Artificer character in our elite squad that we're manufacturing? Hey, GM Vault, welcome. Now, could it be a Yuan-ti, Emmy? Yes, because we are taking a step outside of the core 3 books, and I am using not just the UA Artificer supplement, we're also using Volo's Guide for some possible races, and I don't know. Here we go. And for inspiration on making this like elite soldier squad, I'm also going to the Unearthed Arcana of Ships in the Sea. So the first concept that we made was the cook, kind of a support staff unit, right? And so this next character I want to make with you tonight is going to be a surgeon. Ooh, pardon. I'm very thirsty after some chips and salsa. So up here, we're just going to put surgeon. We know that this is going to be an artificer of some kind. We don't know what yet. We're generating him at level 14 just to gen him at something that's not completely ridiculous. Since I love thinking about where they could go in the future and where they could grow. And we'll go from here. In fact, with this, as a note for the backstory or the personality of why this character would be on some sort of like an elite squad of soldiers. This is purely my call as a DM, but here, with this consideration of the officers in Ships in the Sea, it does seem to grant extra tool proficiencies, 2 in particular, or 1 and a skill. And so where I think this can come into play, like for the cook, we gave you get brewer supplies and cooking utensils. Here it's herbalism kits and the medicine skill. And so what can happen is, as an artificer, you get a lot of tool proficiencies. And so this is a way where I'm kind of thematically forcing the hand of this officer, this elite soldier, by pre-providing at least one of the types. So the ship surgeon tends to injuries, keeps illnesses from spreading throughout the ship, and oversees sanitation. A capable surgeon benefits from a high intelligence score as well as proficiency with herbalism kits and the medicine skill. So we're going to go with medicine, and we're going to go for tools, herbalism. All right, we're not going to need this now. I'm going to roll a d20. 1 through 10, we're going to use a player's handbook race. 11 through 20, we'll go to Volo's Guide and then roll a d13 after that. For this squad, I want at least 2 Volo's characters. So as we're making characters this week, if we go on a bit of a dry spell from Volo's, then we will have at least 2. But let's roll a d20 and find out if we have more than that. Hey, Diadems, welcome. Arr, bite down on this scabbard as I chop off your leg. Stop squirming like a squid. And Emmy says, arr, but my leg is fine. 20. All right, we are going back to Volo's Guide. And so we're going to roll a 13-sided die and find out which unique soldier we have next. 13. Emmy, you wanted a Yuan-ti, and you got a Yuan-ti. So now let's determine if we have a multi-classed character. We should probably do one that's at least multi-classed as well. Well, if it doesn't happen naturally, we'll save it for last then, I suppose. D&M says it's rigged. So we have a Yuan-ti. And let's go male or female. We'll do that with the percentile roll. 58, we have a male Yuan-ti Pureblood. So we have this taken care of. Let's go to his alignment is 2 percentiles. 9 and 72. He is a chaotic good character. By the way, these are medium-sized creatures. There we go. We already have the level at which we're going to generate, 14. That means we get 3 ASIs or ability score improvements, aka stat bumps. I'm going to roll a percentile and find out if any of those are going to be replaced by feats. 26. Nope, it's all stat bumps. All right, now I'm going to roll the 13-sided die again, and we are going to give this person a background. Now, there's a monstrous origin, and we can roll that for flavor as well. I can't claim the credit for a Yuan-ti. It was Misfit's idea. Ah. Well, then, Misfit via Emmy, you are getting your wish is my demand. We rolled a 13. Oh, no, we rolled a 13-sided. We got a number 3. It's a criminal or spy. Oh, my goodness. We had a charlatan, and now we have a spy. Can you really trust these monstrous races? In particular, there are D8 kind of specialties you can have per the player's handbook. And number 8 is our specialty. Whatever that is. I don't know just yet. All right, we already know our class and we know our subclass. And so now we can kind of put this away here with the Yuan-ti. Yuan-ti Pureblood traits. Since we're here, I might as well fill this in before we go back and forth with some other things. Charisma increases by 2, intelligence by 1. Similar as humans and have humans similar lifespan. Okay, let's roll percentile. 48 is an adult, and for a human, 26 to 40. So we're going to roll a 15-sided die. All right, so we have 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. A 34-year-old adult. Our base speed is 30 feet. 15 climb, 15 swim, 0 fly. We do have dark vision out to 60 feet. We also have some innate spell casting. You know the poison spray cantrip. You can cast Animal Friendship an unlimited number of times with this trait, but you can target only snakes with it. And starting at 3rd level, you can also cast Suggestion with this trait. Once you cast it, if you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, or once you cast it, you can't do so for a long rest, Charisma is your spellcasting ability. So, from innate spells, we are going to get Poison Spray. And down here, once more, IS, because I like indicating where we get this stuff. Poison Spray. Then we are going to get innate spellcasting. Animal, Friendship, Snakes, or let's put Unlimited, Snakes only. And it's operating off of Charisma. And then as a second level spell, we have Suggestion, which I believe is a second level spell. If I'm not, correct me, please. Suggestion, 1 time per day, charisma based. Magic resistance. You have advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. Whew. Advantages versus spells and effects. Magical effects, but poison immunity. All right, so that we're going to fill in the I here of the column IRV, immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities. Languages, speak, read, write, common, abyssal, and draconic. There we go. For a Yuan-ti, we start at 4 feet, 8 inches high. And we're going to add 2d10 inches. We're adding 17 inches. We have a tall drink of water here. So that is going to be 4 feet, 25 inches. So 6'1". We're going to take that same 17 and multiply it by 2d4. By 2. So this is going to give us 34. And we're adding 34 pounds to a base weight of 110. So 144 pounds at 6'1". Kind of a lanky fellow. Who is an adult male, 34 years old. Okay, now let's go to the monstrous backgrounds. And, you know, why would a creature like this, why would they adventure? Why would they go out of their lands? There might be some specific Yuan-ti stuff as well. Let's take a look real quick. We have some physical traits that we can roll. That could be very interesting. You can customize your Yuan-ti by giving it one or more of the following traits. Now, that's, you know, not necessarily as the PC. You'd want to talk to your DM about that. But we do have some personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. We might end up having some kind of a double agent here. So I guess we can keep this just as we had our orc, right? So Ellie is in the army, and she's presenting herself as someone who wants to be a part of it. It might even have a grievance against her own people, if only to manipulate them. Apparently, this group is going to be manipulated from the inside, too. She has this true orc identity that's based off of her false identity from Charlatan. But then we have our Yuan-ti leanings. Maybe they're not the dominant personality traits that we're going to be supplying, but let's roll a... let's roll 1d8 and then 3d6. So we have 3, 5, 3, 3. So we'll just go one personality trait. Ideal. Bond. Flaw. Maybe these are his urges that he's having to fight against. If, in fact, because he's chaotic good. Now, does that mean that he, picks flowers and enjoys sunny days and all that? Maybe. It doesn't mean because you're good that you have to do that, though. I want to make sure that we make that distinction. So maybe this is his baser nature that he's fighting against as a Yuan-ti. Personality is 3. I gotta pull this off screen just a little bit to read this more better. There we go. I prefer to be alone rather than among other creatures, including my own kind. His Yuan-ti ideal is 5. Inspiration. My actions set an example for the lesser casts to emulate. Bond is 3. I respect my superiors and obey them without question. My fate is theirs to decide. And 3 for his flaw, his Yuan-ti flaw. I frequently overindulge in food and wine. Well, he's in the right division with this orc cooking mama. I frequently overindulge in food and wine, and I am impaired and lethargic for days afterward. The more humanoid Yuan-tis are often sent out as spies or saboteurs by their more snake-like brethren. Yeah, so I think we can. I mean, I think we could probably relegate this to spy with a capital S. Yeah, we rolled it and I stuck with it. That could be the monstrous origin region or reason. Maybe in fairness to our orc, though, we can still roll this. D8. 7. And number 7 is an evil entity corrupted your people's society. Whew. So what if he left to infiltrate a special elite forces unit to try and convince them to travel to his people's lands and help them under the guise of something else? We can draw our two characters together and bond them in a very interesting way. Now, for the predominantly presenting personality traits as an infiltrator or as a member of this elite unit of artificers that apparently is sent out everywhere to do all sorts of things that people just want to infiltrate and guide. 4 and 6. And then ideal, bond, and flaw is 4, 5, 1. This is gonna, running this as an adventure would be very, very interesting. Now let's go over to C for criminal / spy. All right, so our specialty is number 8, and that is a smuggler. Now, in the role of surgeon, right? You're the medic here. I think that smuggler, you're infiltrating. If something was corrupting, look, you're studying biology. Wouldn't that be interesting? You have a Yuan-ti doctor who very much enjoys looking at your human anatomy or your tiefling anatomy in order to understand it better. But also, who might not understand it better than someone who aims to be like you one day? And so maybe this person is trying to smuggle information or people or supplies through participation in this military unit to come back and to provide aid to his people. Emmy has returned. And the one-word sentence of I. Well, hello. Quingar? Quingar? Is that pronounced correctly? Now we have a criminal contact as our background feature. Someone who, you know, that we can pass along smuggled supplies, communicate, even over long distances. Someone on the underbelly, which kind of has a whole new meaning with Yuan-ti and snakes, right? And so this is bringing in perhaps even another Yuan-ti, or someone who is, you know, this criminal contact. You know, it says criminal contact, doesn't necessarily have to be a hard criminal, like a murderer or whatever. This could just be someone else who is a defector from his people, but who is remaining to infiltrate the infiltrators. This is Yuan-tiception here. You know, is the contact back to the people, passing along messages. Hey, can you get some medical supplies because this is happening? Or is relaying. Yeah, it looks like our people are on the move. The cultists have taken over, and it looks like they're going to try and invade this area next. Can you please try and get this military unit in place to counter it? That could very well be the role here. So it says criminal contact. We get the idea. Does it have to be a literal criminal contact? No, I think we get the gist of it. Smuggling all those high-value human, elf, and dwarven organs to make Yuan-ti traditional medicines. GM Vault knows. I mean, he's not an evil character, but it doesn't mean that, you know... Oh no, our dwarf friend died. Well, I better not let his organs go to waste. Schlorp. Put it into some sort of like canaptic jar and smuggle it over back to his people who really need those dwarven organ transplants. Because they want to look like dwarves. They want to be dwarves in a way. All right, so in his more civilized society, you know, common humanoid society, as he presents himself as a soldier, not just what his Yuan-ti leanings are, his personality traits are 4 and 6. I would rather make a new friend than a new enemy. And 6, I don't pay attention to the risks in a situation. Never tell me the odds. Well, I don't know. That sounds like a very ambitious doctor. You know, he's willing to perform whatever surgery, whatever medicine, whatever weird technique. You know, he might even harvest those organs in plain sight and say, look, if you want to live, you better eat this ground up dwarf stomach because they have something in there that counteracts poison. You have about 2 minutes left before you go into like anaphylactic shock. Now, drink your friend's stomach or die. His ideal is number 4, greed. I will do whatever it takes to become wealthy. So he does have an ambition. He does want to accumulate. I mean, wealthy can very much mean money. It could mean art. It could mean influence, favors, that kind of a thing. Eat up, says Emmy. That's right. Cheers. His bond is number 5. I'm guilty of a terrible crime. I hope I can redeem myself for it. Ooh. What if he's the one that might have been responsible for enabling, like, if not releasing this evil entity, but maybe was, you know, maybe was an early adopter, you know, kind of came on board in this, you know, Yuan-ti youth indoctrination program and enabled something really bad to happen. You know, the murder of his of someone important, or revealed a plot or something along those lines, and was exiled, if only self-exiled for it. And that's what drove him to these lands, looking like, you know, someone else. And found his way into this task force. And his flaw is, number 1, when I see something valuable, I can't think about anything but how to steal it. this is the type of character that is definitely in conflict. I mean, the Yuan-ti kind of have that intrinsically. You know, if you're a sleeper agent, you've been trained. You're sort of like the Potemkin village. If you're not sure what that is, you're welcome to look that up. So, you know, you're this agent who's been raised in a particular fashion, but trained to infiltrate another people's culture or society. And so, especially with this teetering of I'm responsible for something bad for my people, and you know, I don't like my people, but I don't think they deserve what's happening. So I'm gonna go and join this other force. And so we have a character that is very conflicted. Someone perhaps who is trying to be everything but himself. And so throughout the course of the adventure as a DM, that might be something that you want to invoke. The player piloting this character finds out who he really is in all this. He used, you know, he can use his knowledge of, he can use his knowledge of the body, right? He has the proficiency in medicine in order to mimic. He made himself very, you know, valuable, in this regard. And, I'm digging the way that this is going so far. So we have our background stuff, or do we? No, we still need to put in deception and stealth. Deception and stealth are our proficiencies. We're proficient in a type of a gaming set and thieves tools. Now, we are already going to get thieves tools as a artificer, as an artificer. We are also already going to get expertise in thieves tools as an artificer. Because that would have been my recommendation. If you get a redundancy, talk to your DM. Maybe you can have expertise. In this case, because we not only are getting it, we're going to have expertise already. What could we take instead of what could we take instead? Talk to your DM. Maybe your DM says, well, it might make sense then, in order to help cover up some of your patches, instead of thieves tools, maybe you would get a disguise kit. That way you can apply different makeups or hairs or whatever, some equivalent of a contact lens or something like that. So, you know, in this case, I'm probably going to say disguise kit, because otherwise we're going to have a triple redundancy. And you might have a DM that says, oh, well, you're playing a Yuan-ti. Arguably, those are already overpowered. And, you know, while this is coming off of your background versus your class, it's no mercy. Play it where it stands. And if that happens, you know, you could talk to your DM, but if your DM says play it where it lies, then play it where it lies. I am going to be a good DM, and I'm going to make an exception that is based on the thematics of the character and the direction in which he's going, and give him disguise kit proficiency instead. And then a gaming set of some kind. I don't know what he'd play. Maybe some sort of like a Mancala, or, you know, something perhaps more native to the Yuan-ti, but that would be exotic to the others. So gaming set. I'm just going to kind of leave that generic. All right, so we're a smuggler, criminal contact, and now we have our personality. Oh, we get a crowbar. Very good as a chest spread. If you gotta, you know, massage someone's heart or do some battlefield open heart surgery, you just get that crowbar and crack it open. And I like thinking that thieves or other types who have special crowbars would name them. So you are welcome to come up with a name for this character's crowbar if you'd like. We get a crowbar, dark, hooded, common clothes, and a belt pouch containing 15 gold. A game with tiles? Yeah, something like that could work out too, Emmy. If you have a suggestion, you can throw it out there. This is our character, not just my character. All right, we have a background, we have a Yuan-ti, and now let's look at how he's going to manifest as an Artificer. So we come back over here. We see that we are, once more, a D8 hit die class, level 14, so we have 14 D8 hit points. Proficiencies are going to be light, medium, and shields. Weapons, simple, hand crossbow, and heavy crossbow. Thieves' tools. Tinker's tools. Now, it does say one of your choice. I was kind of force manifesting that choice with the herbalism kit, because that is what our crossover from the of ships in the sea was giving us, right? As a surgeon, medicine skill and herbalism kit. So that's what we're bringing over in this kind of hybrid. I guess no pun intended with the Yuan-ti. The blend of having this military unit of artificers. Maybe similar to Mahjong, but with Yuan-ti symbols? Sure. So, I mean, we could call it... we could just call it like YT Mahjong. Constitution and intelligence are our saving throws. Now, skills, this is where his personality and such will also set him apart from the other artificers. Choose 2 from Arcana, History, Investigation, Medicine, Nature, Perception, and Sleight of Hand. He is a smuggler, right? Now he thinks about taking it. Doesn't mean he's an expert thief. He's an expert smuggler, and that could be something else instead. If he's noticing it, that could be perception. He might need perception if he's going to heal people. If he's looking for a way in order to combat this evil entity that's corrupted his society, then that could be something like investigation. I respect my superiors and obey them without question. So he could have been sent out by this resistance, and even though he doesn't want to, he does want to be alone, he is forcing himself to do this. Almost like a Doc Bones from original series Star Trek. And I frequently overindulge in food and wine. I am impaired and lethargic for days afterwards. It sounds like maybe he values the tradition of his people. That could be history. New friends, the new enemies. Don't pay attention to the risk in the situation. Never tell me the odds. So in that case, maybe he is more of the he flies by the seat of his snaky pants. Maybe history and investigation are going to be his style. If you have a suggestion, you are welcome to throw it out there. If you have something that you're like, nah, not history. It should totally be sleight of hand. Because maybe sleight of hand could play into medicine for delicate procedures. You know, you got to remove a dead dwarf's stomach to pulp up and feed to someone who's dying from poison. Maybe that's sleight of hand. I mean, medicine, if it's already dead, do you have to really be careful about it? Let's see. Anything racial we already have included with in the other effects. So we can now move down to equipment. Any 2 simple weapons. I would imagine a dagger and something else. What would you carry? Because I mean, you'll get a light crossbow as well. I picture him as a very traditional Yuan-ti, so history fits. Though I feel like medicine or nature might fit. We are already trained in medicine because we are. If we weren't applying this extra concept of elite officers in a squad, I would definitely take that. We already have medicine though, so I would off-put it to something different. Nature could make sense, although investigation might work because he's trying to piece together, how is he going to smuggle his goods? What are the rotations of the guards? When are they expecting their next shipment of supplies? And how much can he siphon, right? Can he cook the books? Can he do some accounting, some creative accounting to make sure that he's smuggling things out through his contact, but it's not being caught? How can I overcome this evil entity? So I think nature could make sense, but he's removed from that environment, and he was probably chosen because of how smart he is to try and figure this stuff out. And he also wants to figure out a way for him to redeem himself from this terrible crime. See some simple weapons, chapter 5. Club, dagger, great club, hand axe, javelin, light hammer, mace, quarterstaff, sickle, spear, unarmed strike, crossbow, dart, short bow, sling. We're going to get a light crossbow. I think we should give him a dagger. Right? That could be like a scalpel or something if we want to reskin it. Ooh, a hand axe could be good. Look, sometimes you got to remove a limb in a hurry. Dagger, hand axe. I mean, if we want to go finesse and we want to go a dex build, and then then instead of a dagger and a hand axe, we take 2 daggers, or I don't know, something that's finesse. But I don't know if it's really necessary. Or we give him daggers and darts so he can administer poison, right? Poison and like poison dip and throw the darts. That could be a possibility. Like crossbow, or you could take the hand axe and you don't have to be super strong, because if you're just going to remove a limb, that's probably not going to require a strength roll, because you're going to get through it eventually anyway. So I guess don't be afraid to just play to the stereotypes, or maybe, well, I think this is a D6 compared to a D4 or whatever along those lines. You can use these tools in very creative ways outside of this. A hand axe, like a hatchet, you could use that better than a dagger. You could swing that into a tree and use that as a step to go up. Are you the strongest person? Not necessarily. Could that somehow give you advantage on an athletics to climb? Maybe. It's up to you to pitch that, though. He's Doogie Howser, MD. If only he was that young, though. He's a little late for that, but I guess in concept. All right, go back to Artificer. We are going to get magical tinkering. Which we can produce various effects on a number of objects equal to our intelligence modifier. Object sheds bright light in a 5-foot radius, trapped by a creature. It emits a recorded message. We can do some ASMR odors. A visual effect like a picture, some text can show up. Spellcasting, as you can see, we are a half caster. We do have rituals and cantrips, however, so bear that in mind. We're going to have 4, 3, 3, and 1 for our slots at level 14. 1, 2. By the way, artificers can swap out their cantrips. It's really neat. So consider that. We'll always have poison spray, but that could free up other stuff that we could swap around or put on a wand if we go artillerist. Alrighty, what is up next? Infusions known. These are like your warlock invocations. These are things that you can impose on mundane objects to make them magical. So we are going to have magical infusions. And I'm going to copy off of Ellie Eaglewind here. We're going to know 6. And these are the levels at which we get them. And that's important because like the invocation for warlocks, there are certain level thresholds. Now, you can always retrain. So as long as, if we hit level 12, we can take an invocation and replace a level when we got at level 2 with one that needed a higher level character in order to obtain. Hey, 12 for 10, welcome. So we're going to get these. We're also going to get Arcane Armament, which is going to give us an extra attack as long as it is a magical weapon. Now, interestingly enough, because this says a magic weapon, this could be ranged. And you're going to have to watch out if it has a reload property. Perhaps an interesting point to bring up, though, as it says the magic propels the attack. Is the magic bypassing reloading? Because these are obviously meant to shoot. It mentions the optional rule for guns, and it gives you light crossbow, heavy crossbow, and hand crossbow proficiency. But if the magic is propelling the second attack, would that forego the reload property? And I guess I can open that up to you all to think about. And then we get right cantrip for the job at level 10 as an Arcanist. This is the basic class. We haven't got into our subclass yet. The right cantrip for the job, it lets us cycle out our cantrips and replace them with something else that we find more useful. Oh, Derek's doing some art. I'm gonna go over and take a little look-see here. Ah, yes, those are some familiar looking characters. Wink, wink. Now, I would think, yeah, he's probably an alchemist, right? He's the doctor. He can purify stuff, and so we'll have 2 alchemists here, and that's fine. That's part of this exercise. It's just like when we built a band with bards. I think we ended up with 2 lore bards and 2 valor bards. It's perfectly fine, especially because as an artificer, you swap your spells out like clerics, druids, and paladins do. No idea where the inspiration comes from, or the ability for that matter. I can't draw a stick figure. Hey, I think you've drawn more than a stick figure in TKO with us 12 for 10, haven't you? So let's go Artificer, Alchemist for our good doctor. That said, let's see what we get. At 3rd level, we are an expert now in all our tools. ASIs, Arcane Armament, and okay. So now let's come down to an Alchemist. We get some Alchemist spells. As well, we get proficiency with Alchemist supplies in an Herbalism kit. We already had proficiency with an Herbalism kit. That said, and as we are also an expert, this could open up the option to get a new tool set of some kind. And if we take a look at let's look at the personality here. Prefer to be alone. Actions set an example for the lesser caste. I respect my superiors. You know, the ship surgeon is kind of the broad role here. An evil entity corrupted your people's society. I'd rather make new friends. I don't pay attention to the risks. Maybe something that could help support being the doctor could be Weaver's tools. So he can make bandages, he can sew wounds, things like that. And so in this instance, if I were your DM and you came to me saying, look, this is going to be super repetitive, what can I take that's still thematic and is fitting for the mechanics? We're just going to reflavor something. Weaver's tools. I think that works out really well. Have a good night. Catch you later. All right, 12 for 10. Thank you for stopping by and saying hi. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Weavers can also make death baskets. So there is, yeah. I mean, if you got to deliver organs or other things, you know, you got to deliver someone head to your superior, you know, basket weaving. Oop, there you go. And crafting. So we have tools of the trade, potions. We are going to get to craft potions in 1/4 of the time of the normal time per the crafting rules, and at half the usual cost. Bear in mind that by the rules, you make potions at half market price already. So this is a bit of a roundabout way of saying, ultimately, you make potions at 1/4 the speed and 1/4 the cost. Or like you take the ultimate speed down to 1/4, and the costs are 1/4 as well. We are going to get some domain spells effectively as an alchemist. And I'm going to just do a little copy and paste here. As this is going to act like our Circle of the Land spells, this is going to act as our paladin spells. This is going to act as our cleric spells. Like our domain spells, I should say. You know, like Oath and your Circle of the Land, and then your domain. These are not going to count against the number of spells you can prepare per day, which is your intelligence modifier plus half of your level, because you're a half caster. 3, 3, 1. Okay. We are going to also be able to create an Alchemical Homunculus. At 3rd level, you learn ancient methods for magically creating a special homunculus that's formed by alchemical substances. We can imbue something. You determine the homunculus' appearance, which includes wings and bits of alchemical equipment. Some alchemists prefer mechanical-looking birds, whereas others like winged vials or miniature cauldrons. So if we want it in a particular shape, we can draw inspiration, perhaps. I respect my superior. So it could look like a little snake. A little, like, alchemical, thrown together snake. You know, perhaps a memory of his past and his people. Something that he hopes to redeem himself. Some people that he hopes to redeem himself to in the future. It could be something valuable that he actually did manage to smuggle out. I don't think for the Yuan-ti that they had any particular trinkets or, let's see, eye color, snake head shape, body type, humanoid skin color, personality traits. Cannibalism and sacrifice. No, nothing. So nothing like the orcs necessarily. But it's giving you a ton of good content for making a Yuan-ti base. So what we can do, what would be something thematic? It'd probably be a little homunculus that might look like, made from shed scales. So he has like a little Yuan-ti, like a little snake made of these pale shed scales that flies around, and it can attack, right? It has a stat line. It levels up with you, right? Might of the Master. It does have dark vision. It understands the languages you speak. It has immunities to acid and poison. All this other stuff. It can attack, and it has these things it can do 3 times a day. It can give you a flying speed of 10 feet for 10 minutes. Feels giddy. You can get advantage on certain ability checks in the next hour, equal to the number of checks equal to the number of your intelligence modifier, or you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to 2d6 plus your int mod. So that's something. All right, we gain a bonus to 1 roll of the spell, whether it's healing or it is deals acid or poison damage. I think that works well. It even works with our native poison spray that we get. And we could also cast restoration without spending a spell slot. And we can do that a number of times equal to our int mod. That's pretty useful. So let's come back over here. And here we have Alchemical Mastery. So we're going to put this over in our second. Oh, I already got the... wait, so it was web and what else then? Oh, Melf's Acid Arrow. That's right. All right, so I'm going to Control X, Control V, Control X, Control V, Control C, Control V. And so we already have our Lesser Resto in here. And then at 14, we're going to get Chemical Savant, which is one time a day, we can cast a Greater Restoration. And on top of that, so not only are we getting our bonuses to damage or healing from Alchemical Mastery, we're getting resistance to acid and poison damage, and we're immune to the poisoned condition. So what that's going to do, though, is we're already immune to poison because we're a Yuan-ti, but this gives us acid resistance, and we are now immune versus poisoned. In fact, I got to write that here over on Ellie as well, that she cannot have the poisoned condition. Immune to poisoned condition. And there we go. So this is what he gets as an alchemist, and we've explored his personality. We've given him a backstory. We already have, I think, a rich background for telling a tale. Use baskets to lower down lotion bottles, right? GM Vault for, when you have dry skin on the battlefield. Can you make a skin basket? I don't see why you couldn't ask your DM if you shed. Underwater death basket weaving for 400, Alex. Speaking of poor Alex Trebek, if you didn't hear, he's apparently he's not doing so well. All right, so now we have our standard array. I think because of how keen he is, we would put our 15 in int and make him very bright. I can also see him he wants to make new friends. I would say his wisdom would be higher. He is proficient in medicine, and I think that he is observant. I mean, we didn't give him perception. But I think that this would be something rather big for him to have. 14. Probably give him a... Charisma would be another big one for him, right? He is kind of the family doctor. He does have this bedside manner that even, he's brusque about things. He's very blunt. He'd rather make a new friend than a new enemy. That's 15, 14. What if we went... 13, 12, 10, and 8 strength. So he's not the strongest. Again, it doesn't mean he can't... He can use a hand axe. You know, is he going to be as good in combat with it? The hand axe might be for emergency use only. A smart cookie, yeah. Yeah, he... Oh, hey, gaming. Great to see you. Welcome. I don't know if it was prostate. I thought it was pancreatic cancer. So we add in our Yuan-ti bonuses, putting our intelligence to a 16 and our charisma to a 12. We now have 6 points, right? We get an ASI at 4, 8, and 12, ability score improvement or a stat bump. We could probably put 1 in dex to round that up, and then I like dumping. If you ever have a spare, now you could always, if your DM allows, you could take a feat, and some of those include a 1 to round something up. But in this case, because we don't, given our self-imposed restrictions, if you throw an extra into strength, you can get a mechanical benefit out of that with your push, pull, lift, carry, drag numbers. So there's 2. And int we should probably bring up. So let's put 2 there. And part of me, I mean, maxing intelligence, seems right. But dropping it into wisdom, I think, would make him a more competent doctor as well. Can't help but thinking of how to steal it. I'd rather make a new friend. I don't pay attention to the risks in the situation. So maybe no. For wisdom, if he doesn't pay attention to risks, that's not necessarily insightful, which is wisdom based. He is very determined, I think, to help his people. So maybe bringing charisma up to 14, or just rounding his intelligence out at 20. Or we could always give him some more hit points, make him healthy, and bring his con up. That might work, actually. I don't know. What do y'all think? Wisdom or charisma, says Emmy. And yes, also gaming. Yeah, we're getting we're getting waved at. That is a very cute drawing. He already has the proficiency in medicine, so that makes him, I think, a decent doctor. I mean, there's magic as well, but see, unfortunately, the presence of healing magic can almost seemingly override medicine. As a DM, you have to watch that and see if you can still make medicine a relevant skill. If you have a cleric with medicine, yeah, a spell, you could cast a spell and a spell should just like auto fix stuff, but can you make that relevant somehow? Oh yeah, it is. You're describing the ones that you made. It is cute. I agree, Emmy. You know what? He can't maximize it defensively, but I think that's fine. What if we brought his dex up? So he's a little bit more dexterous of a surgeon. He's a little bit more survivable on the battlefield, especially because his con isn't as high. And he can also use that dagger and any crossbows that he comes across, slings, darts, that kind of a thing, with greater accuracy. That might work. So that's a -1 strength, 3 dex, 1 con, 4 int, 2 wisdom, 1 charisma. Strength saving throw. Look, he's tall, but he's kind of light, so he might blow over in a stiff breeze. Saving throw, acrobatics, sleight of hand are 3. Stealth is going to be 8, because I did a whoopsie and forgot to put our +5 proficiency bonus. Constitution is going to be a 6. Int is going to be a 9 for the save. 9 history, 9 investigation, and 4 everything else. Wisdom is 2 down the line except medicine, where he shines with a 7. And charisma is 1 down the line with the exception of deception, which is going to be 6. Our initiative is going to be at a +3, as that is a dexterity check. Our passive perception is 10 plus our perception modifier, so it's 12. What else? Our hit points. At level 1, we get 8. Then for the remaining 13 levels of our 14, you get half +1 from your hit die. That's the way I recommend it. The book does too, but hey, you might have a DM that says roll it, or your DM might say, you know what, you need every hit point you get because I'm gonna kick your butt. Just get the maximum, or somewhere in between. So for purposes of this, we're gonna do half +1, and then for all 14 levels, you get bonus hit points equal to your Constitution modifier. So here we have 14 plus 8 is going to be 22 plus 45. Which is going to be 67. And you can see a big swing, by the way. Look at Ellie. 95. Compared to the 67 of the same class and the same level. The same class and subclass and the same level as our Yuan-ti. I let my players roll once, and if it's less than half, I just have them take half. Yeah, so DMs will do it differently. He has a squishy snake belly. That's a good way of looking at that then, Emmy. You're turning someone who is kind of a foreign, this outside entity, into more of an adorable thing where you just want to poke his... I don't know if Yuan-ti have belly buttons. They're probably hatched out of eggs. However, he has earned himself a name, if something's coming to mind. If we're attacking with our spells, we have a +9 to hit, and it's a 17 to resist, right? Because we're proficient, so intelligence plus proficiency. Then an extra 8 for the difficulty class. That's just the floating number that's constant. And then we can infuse a number of items equal to 6. 6 different items with our infusions. And we can keep track of that down here in this lovely extra box. This is probably going to be based off of dex, so it'll be like a +8 to hit. Our hand axe, however, is only going to be a +4, and that's going to be 1d4 minus 1 slashing. Light crossbow is 1d8 plus 3 piercing, and our dagger is 1d4 plus 3 piercing. We don't really have to fill in our cantrips and such right now, because those are mutable, and, you know, even armor class... we could give him standard armor, but depending on the infusions we take, that can actually go up. And Artificers can have a pretty decent AC, because they get shields and this automatic magical amplification if they take that right infusion. So we pretty well have a solid character here. Let's see, we have Artificer. Spells prepared equal. So our int is 4. 4 plus 7 is 11. So this Artificer can prepare 11 spells, but Ellie can only prepare 10 because of the way that she was built. And it's fine that she doesn't have maximum intelligence. There's spells you cast that have a static effect. And so she could be providing this kind of, you know, static effect support that doesn't really rely on a higher intelligence. Spellcasting ability is int. We had a +9 to hit, and therefore a 17 to resist. And our infusions, we had, what was that again? 6. And we've spent 0 of them in this character concept so far. And then of the 11, remember, the alchemy, like your alchemy spells don't count against that. So you can fill in 11 other spells off of the list here. And we can do that as an exercise or sort of between sessions or the like. But there we go. Snack friend. There we go. Emmy, you're being very positive about this. So really, he just needs a name. And we have a great start to our elite military band of Artificers. We're going to make 5 in total. We already have our minimum 2 Volos, so if we don't roll any other Volos, then I think we have an interesting splash of characters, but I'm open-minded to this. It's been a 50-50 roll. And we can go through the minutia. We can look at their infusions. That might actually be a conversation for... Saturday. After we've built our characters and we say, okay, if they're a squad and they're going to be trying to maximize their options and the things that they can do, what should they have as their infusions to work together as a team? And that might be an interesting extra broadcast then. I named Ellie, so someone else have a turn. Throw something out, Emmy. What's inspiring you? We have this 34-year-old male Yuan-ti Pureblood. It looks like an evil entity corrupted his society, and so, you know, he went out into the world. He is smuggling back supplies, and it seems like he's infiltrated this military unit to try and guide them to help free his people from this evil entity. And so, you know, he's a good person with odd intentions or methodologies. But he's not out to just harvest organs and ship them back, you know, in a cruel manner. And he is saving lives of people who might otherwise kill him. Or he's leading them to actually kill others of his kind because, well, then in his judgment, and that could be the fickle nature of the chaotic part of his goodness, there are some of his people who must die because they are irredeemable and they are causing great harm. And this is the only way to do it. And who's going to listen to Yuan-ti even if he's a rebel? So he has to prove himself. He has to work. He has to, you know, he's fighting against these aspects of his nature. You know, his Yuan-ti leanings and the way that he has been trained and he has to carry himself in this unit. You know, the way that as he cuts open a friend to try and repair him or to extract poison or whatever, he has to fight the urge to, you know, act in a Yuan-ti fashion or whatever. So we have a character that's good but conflicted, and I think can be very compelling if played properly and given a story that allows for that to flourish. It is a male character. Is this so guy, girl? Langrus, Edward Langrus? He sounds like a gentleman. Sure. So he can be called Edward Langrus. And there we have it. We have the initial concept of Edward Langrus, and we can go in also and fill in the stats for the homunculi here in the companion, but we'll save that for another night. What I would like to do then, everyone, is let's if he's still drawing, let's go raid Macabre Derek. I'd love to do so. Say hi and take a peek at what he's drawing because you might see that art on this channel sometime. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So, everybody, thank you for your creative input. I hope that this was inspiring. This really unlocked possibilities. It made you think of things maybe you never thought before. We're exploring the Artificer class, and in this case tonight with the subclass of Alchemist. Raid Macabre Derek. Yeah, Emmy, thank you for your input. And Emmy, if you ever need inspiration to draw, we make all sorts of characters here. You're welcome to illustrate it and show them off. Other people in the community do. It's a lot of fun. And you know, if it challenges your skills, you know, you get better and better. And, you know, I'll be proud to show that stuff off. Anyway, let's go raid Macabre Derek. Oh, this feels so awesome. This is going to feel awesome to raid him. I'm looking forward to it. All right, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow, Thursday night. Be here, and we're going to continue making our interesting elite soldier group.